So what you gonna do, brother? We about to run wild with a style like no other. So somebody call Brodus Clay mother and tell her Richard runs on the men like Ed Lover and Doc Dre. What Scott say, what they hang on every word like it's something that The Rock say. No JR, but they talking wrestling. We bring the noise with the boys, so we Dalton Castlin. So masculine, oozing machismo, mutton chop shop, Gran Turismo. No free throws, snarl hoops and heels. It's D-Bras retirement, give you the super feels. Straight shoot, it's real. Drop a pipe bomb, get ready to bull like The Rock's right arm. So stay calm, tranquilo. I'll go Naito and give him Destino. And we know that you chumps ain't ready for the heartbreak runs and the Cuban Genetti. They drop it heavy, tag teaming like Teddy. Long go strong with the heat like Eddie. So steady like when Taker walk the tightrope. Spaz like Taz with the mic and a tight choke. Dirtiest player in the game with the eye poke. 1988 Macho Man on a line of coke. These other casts are a waste, they boring. Illegitimate sons like Jason Jordan. And Richard Runz never give him respect unless they going on air with a broken frickin' neck. So bounce like Papa Pump's pecs. Every time they get down, they bound to catch wreck. Y'all don't know nada. They the Okadas, you're the Washington Generals, they the Globetrotters. A whole lot of podcasts in the scene, but Richard Runz running wild is the cast of your dreams. So it seems these two is too sweet. Bullet Club pulling up with schemes to delete. So retreat, we steal, we cheat, but I never lie, I swear on these beats. And these two got some styles for you, but what you gonna do when they run wild on you?
Oh, hell yeah. It's the Big Dog Red Tires. And you're listening to the Running Wild podcast. Because if you're trying to run wild, this is the place to do it.
Do you want to let everyone know that you get it? Do you not want to be a Melvin? Well, then listen to the Running Wild podcast. And if you don't, you know what you are.
I'm the last real man, Silas Young. And if you're any kind of man, you'll be listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Hi guys, this is Mandy Leon, and you're listening to the Running Wild podcast.
This is Sam Adonis, El Juro de las Chicas, the CMLL, and you are listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. We are on the road to Wrestlemania 35. But before we jump on that road, we're going to get started going over 34 and NXT Takeover New Orleans and anything in between. I mean, just a crazy weekend. I wish I could have called out of work on Monday. Feel a little out of it, but obviously I would not be able to go over any of this stuff. I'm your host, Rich, and alongside me, as always, my co-host, Runz.
Yes, sir.
Before we get started, just want to remind you that we're brought to you in partnership with pwponderings.com, rohworld.com, and Last Word on ProWrestling.com. We're featured on the Wrestling to the Max network. All right, so overall, what were your impressions of the weekend, WWE-wise?
Well, I mean, just quickly, independent-wise, I mean, I was pretty entertained by most of what I watched. WrestleCon and Pancakes and Joey Janela and Riddle and Evolve and all those shows. You know, they did what they set out to do. They were entertaining. Nothing really bad happened, so that's a good thing. No one, you know, came out of it injured or anything like that I've really heard of. So, you know, which is to me a miracle considering Cobb and Riddle and some of those guys wrestled 12 times that weekend.
I think it's a miracle that freaking Quebecer Pierre's chest was kind of back to normal apparently a couple of days later, because I thought that he had it looked like he had gangrene on his chest.
I thought it would just be like that forever, just black.
It was so
that was crazy.
I just want to put this in perspective. Quebecer, you know, I mean PCO as he's called now, he wrestled 24 years earlier in Madison Square Garden for the WWF Tag Team Championships. And now he was just, I mean, this is like a resurgence.
Was Walter even alive? Like, he was like, what,
yeah, I don't
2,
think,
3?
Yeah, I mean, Walter may actually not have been alive when PCO was defending the tag team titles. Just amazing stuff. And before we dive into WWE, did you understand one word that Virgil said when he came out of Joey Janela's spring break?
That was just awful. I don't understand that entire thing. It was you legitimately don't know if you just walked out on its own, which is fun, I guess.
Yeah, no, there's a part of me that wonders if he was just like, "No, guys, I'm
it's
doing it."
It's more fun that way, right? Yeah.
It's gotta be. Please, God.
If he just showed up.
It'd be unbelievable. And I really enjoyed. I mean, I thought it was a little long, but I thought Kenny versus Cody was pretty crazy. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I thought overall was a pretty strong show.
Yes, a little bit long. People weren't as into Cody and Kenny as I expected them to be. They weren't as vocal. Maybe that was from a long show, and I think there was a show before that, or people were just lined up at like noon or something like that. So people were there for a long time. So they were as into those matches as they could have been, I guess. Marty and Dalton was solid. Cody and Kenny was good, but like I said, the crowd just wasn't as they didn't make them feel more meaningful than they just were by the matchups.
That's a fair assessment. All right, so here we go. NXT, man. In some ways, I think we're starting off with. So for me personally, one of the matches of the weekend. Easily in the top 3.
Well, in my mind, this was the best show of the weekend, just period.
It's not even fair anymore, though. I mean, they have so many things going for them. Not only are they smart about keeping the amount of matches to a manageable level, like, the event itself, for me, that's the one I want to watch in many ways, at least of the bigger shows, right? That guarantees that it's not going to be a 4-hour slog, and
right.
I think that booking-wise, that makes everything difficult. So this ladder match, starting off the night, you had a number of great matches on the card, but by the main event, it didn't feel like anybody was too exhausted to get into it, and that's kind of what I felt about a lot of the shows. It's like the audience gets cranky, man. For Ring of Honor, some fans were there. They had an autograph session at 12:30. So you're.
I think I literally just said that. Continue.
Oh, I didn't hear that you said the 12:30 part. All right. Did you also listen to the Cole Cabana podcast?
Yes.
Okay, so never mind. So my apologies. But yeah, no, it's just NXT. I think just captures it the right way.
Right, and as you touched on a little bit earlier, they have so much going for them. They had 5 matches, and 4 out of the 5 had awesome stories around them, and the 5th one involved 4 of the top indie guys and 2 of the big NXT guys that are around. So I mean, you couldn't go wrong there. We'll just start in order because it doesn't really matter. But the 6-man ladder match was absolutely amazing. Everybody shined. Everyone looked great. Everyone had their moments. Ricochet was Ricochet. Adam Cole was Adam Cole, and he ended up getting the win. First ever North American champion. And what a perfect pick it was.
Yeah. He's, personally going to that match when we did the previews last week, I kind of hoped that he would be the winner there, and I understood if it was EC3 because he's almost a natural to hold the title. But I'm glad it went with Cole, and I think that obviously played into later in the night. Kind of the opposite of what we thought it would, actually. But this was a great opener. We watched it live, and full disclosure, I was watching Ring of Honor at the same time. We were both. I was probably watching a little bit more. I remember there were a couple of questionable decisions you called me out on as to what I was focusing on during the night. So I actually went back and watched it again, and the ladder match was, it's weird to rewatch a match so soon afterwards because I think sometimes the excitement's not there, but that match is so good that it was still there. there was even a moment during the rewatch where I was like, hey, maybe, and I was like, no, you actually know the result, but it got me. I was that into it.
Yeah, and I always tend to watch shows like that a second time, just because you pick up on so many more just facial expressions or little subtle things that you didn't really pick up on the first time, or in your case, when you were watching Sumi Sakai win the women's championship instead of this. Well, I don't even know if that's what it was. I think it was like the Bruiser or something. It just it helps out to watch it again and just be able to enjoy it pretty much just the same, because when I watched the show the second time, I didn't enjoy it any less.
Yeah, I mean, there's that little part of knowing who wins is the only thing that I think.
Right, but just for me, like at that point, I don't even focus on who wins. I'm just watching everything else,
True. I mean, and Cole, he's just all the little things. I mean, so charismatic. And he's such a jerk to hold a title. Just that perfect. It's weird because EC3, I can also see him at some point, obviously holding a title, and he just seems like a real annoying type.
EC3 is home. Like, he fits in so well and back in WWE.
It just Cole is kind of like he outsmarted, like he's that kind of heel.
Right.
So
right, and he did it on his own. He legitimately won. So it just it's booking things the right way as usual. I know we'll just go a little bit out of order here because Adam Cole is also involved in another match, which was the triple threat tag match, which was the end. Was also the end of Roddy and Pete Dunne, and nope, not even a chance did I see that coming. Like watching the match the second time, I was trying to see if Roddy gave it away at all, in terms of he didn't attack Adam Cole or Kyle or something like that. It didn't really happen, but I guess it only happened when Kyle O'Reilly kind of forced the issue and fought against him. But what really sold this whole thing for me was when I watched it the second time. I saw after the finish, Adam Cole sits up on the table and he's like, "Oh, what?" He's smiling and he's like, "You did it!" And he goes in the ring and he looks at Kyle O'Reilly and he's like, "Hey, you did it!" And Kyle O'Reilly's like, "What? No, I didn't. What the hell?" And then they're like, "What?" And then they see Roddy, and the look on their face is like, "What the fuck?" Oh, and it made the moment so much better, man. It was so enjoyable.
I can't wait to hear exactly why they explain it. I mean, they don't directly mention Ring of Honor at any point, but I mean, that's the connection that we're all supposed to know about. Isn't it?
Well, right, and they offered him the Undisputed and everything, a month or so ago. So, they plan off that whole thing, and are the spoilers, but I won't say exactly what they say as to why they did it. But you got to figure Roddy and Kyle are the tag champs, and Cole is the North American. So, I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's unfortunate for Bobby Fish that he's injured at the moment, but this was a good way to go for them.
Yeah, I mean, all four of those guys in that group I just really love, and to see them, before when they signed, I know that you had some excitement and you believed that they would be used correctly, and I didn't, and I was very down on them signing, not for them personally, but for myself, selfishly as a fan, not being able to see them utilized the right way. And then listen, if I'm ever upset about a guy getting signed because I'm scared that he's not going to be used the right way, and then he is used the right way, that's never a time where I'm like, damn it, I wish I was right. I am super, super excited and super happy for them, and it's just fun to watch. I mean, that Bebe might be it's might be one of the most over chants in NXT right now, easily.
No, yeah, it's people love yelling that right after that. So, I mean, but like we got to see Ricochet for the first time in the ring, and he was Ricochet. He was flipping all over the place. It was amazing. The crowd went insane. So, I'm sure that 80, 90% of the people there know who Ricochet is, but I'm sure there were a few who maybe just watch NXT, maybe don't really know, and everyone in that building loved that man at the end of the night. So, it looks like he's headed to a thing with Velveteen Dream, and I mean, that's just an absolutely perfect first pairing, and I can't wait to watch those matches.
Imagine being a person. By the way, WWE, I hate you for continually telling me that WrestleMania is free, or as Booker T, free 99. Just sick of hearing it over and over again when I know I'm paying. But imagine you're one of those people who's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to finally sign up for the network because for some reason I didn't want to have this easy access earlier before. And then you put on NXT and you watch that ladder match and it's the first time you've seen a number of those guys. Like, that's got to be incredible. Ricochet?
Well, I mean, for our friend White, it was his first time watching NXT and seeing Adam Cole and Ricochet and everyone on that roster pretty much. And like, so I was trying to explain to him as it was going, like, Adam Cole was kind of like Shawn Michaels and, giving him like little comparisons. And like, once it was the super kick party, he was like, okay, yeah, I like this guy. And so like, by the end of the night, he was the biggest Adam Cole fan there is. So, that was fun to tag along on that journey. So, yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. Someone signing up for the network, not really knowing what they're getting, and then walking away like, oh, yeah, I'm going to watch every one of these from now on.
It's just really cool to see Adam Cole on that stage. I mean, he is, he's a couple steps away from, maybe a year away from being on the actual WrestleMania proper card. And,
well, yeah, I mean, and that, be patient, take your time, don't rush anything, but yes, that guy will be where he belongs one day, and maybe I don't know, we'll have to see where WWE goes, but that guy is so good that the sky's the limit. But
and of course you can check out his the interview we had with him in our archives. You can check that out on SoundCloud or on iTunes, where we got a chance to talk to Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. And Cole actually speaks about his desire to one day go to WWE and have his WrestleMania moment, and it's just kind of crazy that he's one step closer.
Yeah, and it's fun to see when these guys that you follow for so long. I mean, these talk to, have on the show, all that kind of stuff. Just go to the big stage and thrive. It's a lot of fun. If
you're a wrestler, just throwing that out there one more time. But if you're a wrestler, listen to this podcast, and you want to have your get closer to your WrestleMania moment, it's become abundantly clear that you need to be on the show. You come on the show, and boom, you're in NXT. I mean, Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Donovan Dijak. That's just naming a few, so I don't want to take up the whole episode, but definitely jump in our archives, take a look. It's Donovan Dijak, so just so you're not confused, but we have him up there too, so check those out. Kind of crazy. I think that's what makes NXT so great, and moving forward, like the rest of the card, I think I'm gonna go out of order here. Let's just. I almost want to jump right away into the main event, but let's talk about the women's match before we talk about the title match.
Right. The women's match was good. I enjoyed the story that they told with Baszler and Ember Moon kind of fighting Baszler's game and getting beaten at it. And as we saw, Ember Moon got called up, as I also believe we might have said last week. So, they made the right choice. Baszler winning was very good. I enjoyed it. Rousey was there. They're pushing that whole thing. So eventually, That's going to come to fruition with Baszler and Rousey, her friend, whoever the other one is, against some combo of the 4 horsewomen. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm enjoying Baszler in NXT. It was a good match, and the right woman won.
Yeah, 100%. I was expecting Baszler to win here. I think she's really believable. She really gives off that aura of I'm gonna destroy you, and she can do it. Is the intriguing part about it. So the whole package is excellent, and I think she's gonna be a good monster champion. Where we're gonna have some good baby faces try to fight her.
Shayna is more Brock than Ronda is, because Shayna just looks mean. Like, you just don't like Shayna. People love Rousey. Shayna Baszler, you just don't like her. And, she comes across that way. She comes across that way in the ring. And, man, it's a lot of fun watching it. So that's definitely going to be enjoyable to continue to see her grow on NXT and, beyond, I guess.
100%. All right, then you had Almas versus Aleister Black for the NXT Championship. I'm not going to lie here. Okay, I can acknowledge how good the match is, but I can tell you that for my personal enjoyment, it wasn't in the top 2 for the night. I really like the ladder match, and the main event's going to be tops for me. This one, and on the weekend, it was a really good match, but obviously almost losing, because I really wanted him to win here. It took away from it a little bit from me, but that's just because of who I was rooting for. I can still look at the match and say that it was fantastic. Black is unbelievable. Vega's interference, the story. They didn't have to tell more story during this match. Could have just been a championship match between these two guys. It's been building towards it, and Black comes away. But they really set it up with Vega and how she played a really big role in him losing the title, too.
Now, I absolutely love Johnny Gargano, but Aleister Black and Cien Almas are probably my favorite 2 acts on NXT right now. Almost as the heel, and just Black in general. He's awesome. So, in my mind, after watching this match, this thought kind of crossed in my head, because I was, kind of making comparisons all night. Almost is Eddie Guerrero, isn't he?
I mean, essentially, the only difference, obviously, is that Eddie, I think, all right, in the ring and charisma-wise, yes. However, Eddie was so good on the mic that I think it's...
Right. Aside, on the mic, without question. And Eddie at first wasn't great. So maybe there's hope for Almas still. But just in the ring-wise, he does everything. He can high fly. He can just ground and pound you, or, that kind of style. So it's awesome watching Almas. But, like you said, the story that they told in this match with Zelina, just getting the better of Black, getting the better of Black, getting the better of Black, and then finally, one too many times. And, I mean, the visual was just amazing, with Almas catching her, holding her up, and Black able to hit his finishing move, with her in his arms. That was just, it was a lot of fun. I was really, really into this match. I love the finish. I'm excited for Black as champion, and I'm probably more excited to hopefully see Almas on SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, that'll kind of play into our discussion later when we have our mock shakeup towards the end of the episode. But, yeah, I mean, it was really great. I mean, Almas should move up, and I understand that's why he has to. And that's why NXT is so weird for me in some ways, in essence, they have... like Ember Moon lost, and then she ends up on Monday Night Raw, So it's one of these weird things where you're getting to the biggest matches of the year, right? Especially if it's before WrestleMania. And then they they'll lose so they can go up. So it's weird to see a character that you're rooting for lose, but with the ultimate positive that now they have exposure on the main card.
Right, and I mean, I don't think it's any bit of a negative at all because it's just kind of how it works. You know, the reaction from the people the next nights or the coming weeks never really matters. Like, no one's like, oh man, she lost last week, I don't want to cheer for her. It's, you know, everyone understands that that's kind of how it works. You know, you do the job, you move up, and that's just what it is. So if that's where it goes for Almas, then that's great. But don't forget, you know, Asuka went out with the win. You never know what's going on with Johnny. Maybe that was his last NXT match. So who knows?
True. Well, speaking of Johnny, the main event. See, now, this one was extra special because I had been waiting for this for so long.
Right. This was just amazing.
I mean, just the ending visual of him using the brace across Ciampa's face to get that submission.
Whole ending sequence, I think, you know, where from, I mean, forget about the whole entire match, right? But then so everything built up to Johnny almost giving in and being like, yo, like, what are we doing? This is too much. You know, I'm sorry, man. And then, of course, Ciampa is the dick. He tries to attack him anyway, and Johnny's able to, you know, counter it and get the dub. So, man.
I was scared. I was scared he was going to have like a Roddy Piper moment where he was going to, you know, he had that broken crutch, which he was...
Generico moment.
Yeah, you know, he was kind of just hesitating because this was my friend. And then, of course, as always happens with the guy that I root for, you know, he almost threw it away because of that. But luckily, in this instance, he does come away with the victory. And then gets to tease him on Twitter later. He put up a picture of Ciampa because Ciampa's eye was swollen. And he put up a picture of his icon, the smiley face, and he basically said that Ciampa will always remember that his face looked like that, and it looks just
that.
So
that was brilliant, quite lucky and brilliant. But something tells me he's gonna come to regret those remarks in the coming weeks. But you know, I'm not sure.
I'm just telling you right now that if Tommaso Ciampa does one more thing, I'm going to start to believe that you support him as well as Steen and all these terrible people.
It had nothing to do with supporting Tommaso Ciampa. It just is something that I think may happen. But yeah, I mean, Johnny is probably the best babyface in wrestling at the moment, which... I don't know, chicken or the egg, but Ciampa is one of the top heels right now just because of it. You know, he's been able to play such a great character and been able to just be such a douche that it's worked out.
Yeah, I do have to acknowledge that. I mean, but I wonder. It's almost like Johnny, when they were in a tag team, he's such a baby face, such a friendly looking guy that it's almost worse when someone turns on him.
Right. Well, that's, you know, going against the biggest baby face right now makes it slightly easy, but he's still pretty awesome in what he's doing, you know? So that's got to be acknowledged.
Yeah, no, he's really good. I just can't.
But yeah, this NXT show was amazing. This Almas Black was probably the best match, and Ciampa Gargano was a freaking war. It was amazing. One of my favorite matches in a while. It was really, really good. Great story. Probably the best match of the weekend.
Yeah,
but it was such a fight, such a war. Like, it wasn't, you know, it was, but it wasn't the technical classic, you know.
Oh, no, yeah. It definitely wasn't that. So, let's go into WrestleMania. A short show overall.
Yeah, short meaning like one day.
So, I thought the So I was pretty happy to see that Matt Hardy actually did win the Andre the Giant, even though I only picked him last week because essentially I couldn't really remember everybody else in the match. I liked the way that Bray Wyatt... Well, I thought Bray Wyatt was going to look a little different when he came out. I mean, I guess, his attitude has obviously changed, but I expected him to look a little bit different. But he helped Hardy win here. I hope it's not some sort of devious fake reincarnation.
At some point, like, you just feel like that it's going to be that. But hopefully, like, at this point, they know that they need a change in Bray, and this needs to last for a while. We also said that Bray would probably come out and help or do something. So, it was nice to see him. It was nice to see him as his former self, but, just a little bit tiny little bit fresher, new little look, and just, face. The interaction with Jeff on Monday, I thought was hilarious from all three of them. It was really well done. So I'm excited to see that, Matt and Bray are just going to be a team or whatever, and Jeff can just go be Jeff, which is fine. I'm looking forward to where all three of them are going.
Someone posted a picture of Jeff talking to Bray and Matt, and then going back to Finn and Seth, and it was kind of like when you see when you're with your normal friends and you see your wrestling friends. It's just kind of like, yo, just you Wrestlemania, that was right. And then your friends are like, what are you guys talking about? It was just that was.
I forgot about that. The little shrug and just I don't know. That was good.
My favorite was Statwife was why is he just yelling? It was great. Then you had the cruiserweight match.
Yep.
So I believe we both thought that Mustafa seemed like he was going to win, and I feel like they did a good job of building it so that we felt that he would win. Cedric was the number one contender and probably poised to beat Enzo for that title. And then everything happens, and then they do the tournament, and he really fought his way through, and he was the easy pick. But they really, along the way, made it so that it wasn't 100% obvious that it was going to be him.
Right, and they did a good job of putting two guys in the finals, like you said, where either guy could have won, and it would have been fine. Cedric has had this story since the Cruiserweight Classic. It went off the rails a little bit when Vince took over, and it was forgotten about a little bit, but it picked up right where it left off, and, I was happy to see him get the win, considering I've watched him wrestle 3 blocks away from my house. So it's pretty cool to see him in that spot and at WrestleMania winning a title.
Yeah, I thought, they did it. I mean, I don't know what it was, but I felt like there was a good crowd there for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think most of the arena was there by 6 o'clock, so they did a good job of not putting the pre-show matches on at 5, when no one's in there.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. The Women's Battle Royal kind of went slightly the way we called it. We thought that there would be a showdown with Sasha and Bayley, but Naomi was actually the one that was had gone underneath the ropes. I don't really like that. I think that works better a lot of times when it's the heel, but either way, that's just because it's more annoying. But at the same time,
and the crowd was so into Bayley winning that it was a little unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know.
I know that essentially that those matches so far have proved that they're fun, but they don't really matter. So I guess it's not a big deal. But I think it would have made Bayley seem more evil had she won. I'd just been like, hey, I was
it would have made Bayley seem smarter. She finally got one, She did the right thing before Sasha could do it to her. And unfortunately, she just got outsmarted again.
Yeah. Just weird. I don't know how that's gonna kind of move forward because there's gonna need to be a point where she does something that's kind of more reprehensible than what she did there.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so now we get to the show proper. It starts out with the IC title match. I mean, I thought this was a great choice. You had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins' entrance coming out as like the Night King, essentially.
White Walker.
You know, like was unbelievable. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I know it was a WrestleMania entrance, but come on, man. Like, they're just contacts. Can't you just wear them for like forever? Because like that is. Game of Thrones isn't coming on. It's back to like 2019. Like I would totally be happy just every Monday nights, like being reminded that I love Game of Thrones. But I thought his entrance was cool. The Miz came out, kind of wearing some crazy get up, and then Finn Balor came out with the LGBTQ community. This is a pretty big thing. I mean, WWE really hasn't done something like this before, especially not part of kayfabe, right? I mean, essentially.
Yeah, right. Like behind the scenes kind of stuff.
They'll do the Susan G. Coleman or whatever when they support causes, but they don't. It's not like she comes out with John Cena when he's going to wrestle. There's some segment in the ring, so just a kind of I think a smart way to open the show. Cool that they're letting Finn do what he wants to do. I thought the match went really well. I thought that Balor was going to win and have that Mania moment. Is probably my only complaint, I guess. But, you know, Seth Rollins, the way he won, it's very Seth Rollins-y, very smart. And then it easily set them up, as we saw the next night.
Yeah, it was fine. I wish we were aware of the Grand Slam stuff, because that probably would have just made so much sense. To pick Seth Rollins for that win. But yeah, that was fine. It was a good match. I don't know what they're like fully doing with the Miz. They're kind of like, oh, he's a little bit of a babyface, but he's still the Miz, and I don't know. So just pick a side on that. Just let him stay heel and go and do something more meaningful now. But yeah, so that was enjoyable. And what was next?
I'm going to go with
Asuka Charlotte?
Asuka Charlotte, yeah. Was it that early? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, probably. Which was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I went into the match kind of thinking Charlotte was just going to get the win. I don't know why, just because. But yeah, it was really well done. I enjoyed the match. Her ending Asuka's streak didn't hurt Asuka at all. It just, it makes me want to see the rematch. It makes me want to see Charlotte Rousey. Asuka is still a beast. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, I had no problem with it.
Yeah, I actually... This might be one of the first matches of the weekend, or definitely on Sunday, that I jumped out of my seat when Charlotte won. When she had the figure eight and she couldn't keep her arm, and then went across and supported the put it across, supported her other arm to kind of ramp up the pressure. I jumped out of my seat. Stat wife looked at me like, "What is going on? You've literally watched 90 hours of wrestling before this. How are you actually excited about something?" But I was super into it, and she was super into it too. I thought it was a little weird that I think Asuka could have given her props, but a little bit more rough. I think she put her over too much. I would have liked her to be
She said Charlotte was ready for Asuka. What?
Yeah, you could say something
that to me was just okay, cool. Charlotte was ready for Asuka, no problem.
Tonight, but but later I'll be ready.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something just
I don't
a
know
little.
that her English is that great for her to be doing that.
Okay, fair. But I was super excited because I thought Asuka winning was a foregone conclusion. So
yep.
I was definitely.
Yeah, it was it was only leading up to it where I started to see some people saying, "Oh, Charlotte might get the win, just end the streak. It's time." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? Thinking about it, it does make some sense." And you got to think Rousey, Charlotte, WrestleMania 35 is the goal. And I guess with that, I don't know if it was next or not, but Rousey and Angle against Triple H and Stephanie was amazing. It was really, really, really good. And it shouldn't have shocked us that Triple H and Stephanie booked themselves to have the best match of the night.
They really did.
It's probably why we got the screwy finish in Nakamura AJ and didn't have the full blown dream match as they build it, which kind of sucks. It's a little bit unfortunate.
I mean, the Ronda Rousey match was. It's definitely top 5 of the weekend for me, just because it was so well done. Like, it was so well booked. It wasn't like the most amazing. They basically were able to cover Angle's flaws and Rousey's flaws.
There were no flaws in this match. Like, it was just perfect.
You're the biggest cheater in the world.
Amazing.
You're the biggest cheater in the world.
It was so like. Just grade school. Like, are you kidding me right now? You're the biggest cheater I've ever seen. Oh, and then he was all right. I'm gonna go keep beating up your wife now. And then he just grabs her foot. Like, nope. It was, everything in this match was just really well done, and the crowd loved every second of it. So, they badly wanted to see Rousey beat the crap out of everyone, and they got it. So I really, really enjoyed this a lot more than I ever expected. It was probably my favorite match ever made.
By the way, the visual of Kurt having Triple H in the ankle lock and Rousey's locking Stephanie up and Triple H is trying to stop Stephanie from tapping, that was woof.
And they did such a good job of, like, after that, like, Triple H and Stephanie had their moments, or, like, they did such a good job of making you feel like, they just cut them off. This is it. They're going to go the other way. Triple H, Stephanie, somehow going to win this. And then, it went the other way, and the good guys got the win. So, right decision, great match, excellent job.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. It almost... okay, so after this match, I essentially felt like this might be the greatest WrestleMania ever. Like, Charlotte won. I was super amped about that. The IC title match was really great. I really loved that match. So I'm like, this is setting up to be fantastic. And somehow...
The first few matches really built it as it was going to be something epic. And, before you finish your thought, then you had... just on the horizon, you had AJ Shinsuke, you had Cena Taker, you still had Brock Reigns, whatever that was going to be. So, the best matches were still to come.
Wrong.
Incorrect.
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about it too long. The Bludgeon Brothers did what they had to do. I think the match being a squash, the way it was supposed to, was the right way. It's perfect. I'm not going to dwell on it, but exactly what it needed to be, and I thought it was good. Taker, Cena.
Well, just before we get into the others, I just feel on the same note as the Bludgeon Brothers, Nia, I feel like was, what it needed to be. It got the job done. Again, the right woman won, and I'm glad to see Nia as the champ.
No, yeah, really well done. I mean, that's the way the story was going, and sometimes predictable. When you have that predictable end, it's good to go that way. The fans want that payoff, which is why I wonder if some of the matches later on worked. But so Taker Cena, man, this was perfect. I think in some ways I was shocked by it. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think that Undertaker looked super strong here. I mean,
he looked great, man. He looked just physically, he looked amazing.
Yeah, he was able to do the old school. Like, everything was really impressive. I mean,
that hip surgery, whatever other surgeries, whatever he's been doing, man.
I won't lie. I literally watched all of his entrance on the edge of my seat, waiting, like, because he walks so slowly down the ramp. I was like, maybe like in the smoke, like suddenly like his bike is there, so he's just gonna jump on and be like, like I just kept holding out hope, literally until almost he got into the ring.
Right, and unfortunately, we weren't privy to the fact that Kid Rock has his own cruise that he needed to get to, so he wasn't going to be at WrestleMania. So, that was a bit unfortunate. But the way that they handled it, I thought with the lightning and striking his stuff, and then it kind of just being on was perfect Undertaker. It was old school, it was new school, it was still cool. I enjoyed it, and then. The stuff with Elias at the beginning of that was entertaining, as always. Cena being the crap out of him, Taker coming out, just killing Cena was absolutely what it needed to be. Now, Taker looked great. He's going to wrestle in a casket match in 2 weeks, which is probably a sign that he's feeling good. And, hopefully that's the sign of a couple more matches or something. Down the road, but if this was the last WrestleMania we see of Taker, then perfect. We got an amazing memory. But John Cena called him a coward for a month. Anyone who thought probably the greatest performer in WWE history, longevity, just respect factor, all of that, that guy wasn't just going to take that sitting down. He was going to come beat the crap out of Cena, and that's exactly what happened. And for people who have rooted against Cena all their wrestling careers, where we were just in pure euphoria.
Yeah, like I don't hate John anymore, but
no, not at all.
But this was like moron.
Right, exactly. And then he posted like the next day like a cake that says like "you tried" or something. It was just good stuff. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it was well done. Let's see, Brian and Shane versus Kevin.
Sammy and Kevin.
With the stipulation that Sammy and Kevin win, they get their jobs back. It really, I thought overall, I was really great to see Brian, but at the same time, I think Shane was in there for so long that it took away from the match for me a little bit. Like it was a fun little match, but it wasn't what I thought we might be getting.
Well, I mean, that was Brian was going to be the hot tag. Shane was going to be the guy that gets beat down. He's sick. He needs surgeries and all this kind of stuff. So it was going to go that way. But that was another match that was what it was. It was what it needed to be. Seeing Brian again was absolutely amazing. You can't really put into words that journey that he's had and now where he is. So it was really awesome to see him again. Sammy and Kevin lost, which led them to having a match on Raw that neither one of them won. So Kevin Steen is now back on Pro Wrestling Tees. So, this is a fun time. They must be having some fun with this. And wherever this is going to go, we have no idea. But with the shake-up and stuff like that, hopefully they're around. Hopefully they're doing something in the coming weeks.
I don't understand why Bree can be ringside to cheer Brian on, but that Nikki couldn't sit with John.
Well, I told you, she wasn't about to sit in the crowd.
Okay. You think she's just too good? Like, Bree's a woman of the people, but Nikki's like, no.
Right. My red bottoms are going to stick to the floor.
That's a great Nikki impression. All right. This makes me, like, one episode we should do, like, a watch-along with Total Divas, and you can just do Nikki's voice the entire episode. I think it would be really enjoyable.
Anyway.
All right. So then, what are we left with? So, Shin AJ. I don't want to say I told you so, but I thought the hype was so high for this that it was never going to reach that unless they had like an incredible match, and it just never hit that next level.
Right, it didn't hit the next level, and I guess that's by design because I truthfully think that Triple H and Stephanie just wanted to have the best match, but I this was the start for Shinsuke and AJ. This was really the start for Shinsuke, but this was almost the beginning of their chapter in WWE. So I'm hopeful that Shinsuke is successful in this heel turn. I'm enjoying it after 2 appearances. It's been a lot of fun. People did not see it coming. People, I don't think, wanted to see it, and I think that made it so much better. People were actually like booing Shinsuke instead of cheering for him because he's Shinsuke. So that was cool. That was fun to see. It could have lived up to that potential, but it was going to always be tough. But it could have happened if they just, I don't know, 10 more minutes, and it would have been fine. But, I mean, the show ended at, I think, literally 12 o'clock or 12:05. So, I mean, I can't complain too much.
No, yeah. I mean, and to be honest with you, this was supposed to be a good wrestling match. But there are some times where I like the story far more than I like the match. Or just a good match. And Shin as a heel, that's something I want to, like, now, I want AJ to beat him up.
Right, and I think that's kind of where their head was at. Like, all right, we're not giving you this 45-minute classic that you want, but we're going to give you a pretty cool angle to hold you over.
Yeah,
so
they kill
that's
it.
Perfectly fine.
Those dudes then go to SummerSlam and kill it at SummerSlam in New York. Like, that's gonna. I mean, I don't. If you go.
It's just weird that like they had 2 Royal Rumbles this year and both of them lost.
That is weird. Almost unprecedented, I would say.
Well, considering this the first time, yeah, sure.
Well, no, I'm trying to say, how often does the Royal Rumble winner in general lose? It doesn't happen that often.
Probably pretty often.
No, I don't think so. I mean, so you're saying after Flair, I think you had...
Well, forget about going all the way back to that. But
you had Yoko winning. Yoko won at WrestleMania 9.
It's irrelevant. A lot of people haven't won after they've won the Royal Rumble. Yeah, sure, great. We had Braun Strowman taking Nicholas as his tag team partner, which it took a little long for that to happen, but it was fun. The crowd went crazy. The match was fun, but then you learn that it was the referee's son, which was cool.
Oh, it was the referee's son. See, I didn't... Okay.
Yeah, John Cone. That was his son. So that's pretty cool. That I'm pretty sure he was the ref, so that's kind of cool. But, the angle on Raw, where it was just like...
he's got scheduling conflict.
Prior commitments. He's still in the 4th grade. It was just absolutely brilliant. Really, really well done. I love Braun Strowman.
Man, and I did like Nicholas, when they come back, you're going to get these hands.
Yeah, as soon as he's done.
But at the same time, man, I don't know. I would have liked to see a surprise there.
Yeah, okay. But now look at it this way. Would you really want to see Braun as the tag team guy? I don't think so. I think, like, he walked in the Battle Royal because he didn't have anything else to do. So he said, screw this. I'm just going to go win this thing by myself. He never wanted anyone. He never needed anyone. He beat the champs by himself. He accomplished that. Now he can say he was the tag team champion for when he wins the Grand Slam at some point. And they could just build him up again. We'll get to this in a second, but I think they did so much damage to Roman Reigns in the main event that I pray that Braun is the guy to beat Brock in the coming months.
I'm trying to think about how this happened. John Cone sees Vince McMahon at catering. He's like, yo, I had this crazy dream that my son won the tag team title. So Vince goes home, comes in the next day, and they're trying to... I think What
I
does
think
does he not have the partner?
It had to be something along the lines of like, all right, he doesn't need anyone to win. So like, what's the most useless thing we could give him? How about like someone definitely was like, oh, what about a kid? What? That's brilliant. But my whole thing is like, how many people have kids? You know, it could have been anyone. But I guess maybe the ref being the guy who like.
Wait, didn't
is
John
in the
Cohn's son hit a triple on Little League last week? That kid's an athlete.
Is he like a funny kid? Like maybe Vince really likes him? I don't know. I don't know the backstory of Nicholas.
He's got
but
sons.
I'm intrigued.
He's got grandsons that he could have picked. Like,
yeah, but you would have known if it was Shane's kid.
But you really? I would have known if it was Shane's kid.
Yeah, they were there on WrestleMania and every other pay-per-view.
All right, fine. They're there, and I kind of say, oh, those are Shane's kids. But, like...
I guess that's why. Like, he's an inconspicuous guy, a referee. But I don't know. Whatever. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And now, like I said, I hope Braun moves on to bigger and better. But now for that crap main event that we got... So here's the thing. Everyone hates Roman Reigns because they perceive him as Superman, right? And he's just been shoved down our throats. So now you cave in and you allow these fans to run your show, even when people like us were actually rooting for Roman Reigns to get the win here, and we're ready for it. And in making him lose, you have him kick out of 5 F5s, one of which has beaten Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe and John Cena and whoever else he's beaten. So, in doing that, you make Roman Reigns Superman, and you still shove him down our throats, even in a loss. So now, he's not only... hated because he shoved down our throats, but now people who like Roman Reigns are like, wow, this guy sucks. He just told me he was going to beat this crappy part-timer and bring the title back to Justice, and he couldn't get it done.
I mean, first of all, my first question is, was that a blade job, or did Braun just...
No,
Brock just busted him.
Did you see Roman's head on Monday? He had a giant melon. Above his left eye. That's Brock. Hard way. I don't know why they continue to like, hey, let's get some sympathy on this guy and make Brock bust him open, because it's disgusting. I don't want to see Roman Reigns leaking like that.
Dude,
if he's going to be leaking like that, then give him the Austin. Let him pass out, or let him win. And then you have the moment with him as the bloody face with the belt. Or you have him pass out. And, Brock can't beat him. He just passed out. I don't know, man. Now, Roman Reigns is becoming Bray Wyatt instead of John Cena.
Dude, he's going to win the title in Saudi Arabia.
And who's going to care? People in Saudi Arabia will probably pop. Yeah, great. But nobody, when he comes home, he's going to get crapped on.
Maybe
they really, really hurt his character.
Maybe he only defends the title internationally from now on.
Yeah.
They just go to places where WWE never is, and then everyone's so excited that they just even root for Roman Reigns.
I don't know. Okay. They really hurt him. They did very, very big damage, in my mind, to his character overall, and telling us he was going to win and not winning. I don't care. This is the problem now. Whether I liked or disliked Roman Reigns, I always cared. I was always invested in his matches or his promos. And now I don't know. I honestly don't know if I care. And that sucks.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. I mean, I've been there, and I tried to get more positive heading into Mania, and then I did get positive, and I was behind it, and now this is what I get. I should have trusted my gut. The only thing that could possibly be worse overall for the Universal title for Monday Night Raw than what they did with that main event is Bobby fucking Lashley. So, as we transition now into Monday Night Raw, and obviously, you have your big surprises and moments. I'm so angry that I can't even remember when exactly he walked out. But, I mean...
Elias, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Elias. You said, and you're right, and I'm saying it on the show, if Bobby Lashley beats Brock Lesnar for that title, I'm never watching the brand that he's on again.
I would be careful saying that because it's possible. It is possible. I mean, God, I hope not.
Like, I want to say...
I think it is possible.
I want to tell you that if Bobby Lashley wins the title, period, I will watch it.
Right.
Like, this is... And I can't believe I'm forgetting it again. This is when what's the quarterback that replaced Sanchez on the Jets is? I can't remember his name. With the glass jaw.
Geno Smith?
Yes. When they announced Geno Smith as a starter, I legit was like, I'm not watching the Jets this season, and I didn't. And that's what Bobby Lashley makes me feel like. I hate Bobby Lashley. That headband looks fucking stupid. I don't like you. I don't care that you look ripped. I never cared about you. Honestly, go back and watch when he was there. People only really cared right before he left. And that was probably because they knew he was leaving. And it made me so angry that anybody was happy that he was
cared when he came back.
Because
so, I mean, we'll see where they go. We'll see what they do and how they use him. I mean, that'll determine a lot.
No, it won't determine anything. If they use him in a prominent role, I will be very upset. I don't believe Bobby Lashley is anything but a... Apologies. He's good in the ring. He's got a good look. But I just never felt invested in it.
Well, maybe that'll change.
Not unless he takes that headband off.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll make a whole story about him taking the headband off.
Man, that dude walks around. I picture him wearing that headband and have a fanny pack, just walking around backstage all the time. Just that. Shows up to the arena in his tights, fanny pack, and that weird bandana.
Probably. Yeah. So I mean, Mania was fine. It was a long show, but it was mostly enjoyable. The main event didn't kill everything. So that was fine. Raw the next night, we saw a million debuts, as we discussed most of.
We didn't discuss those. No Way Jose.
Yeah. No Way Jose. Adam Rose. Just be cautious. SmackDown, we had Bryan and AJ. Of course, you knew Nakamura was going to ruin that, but we got a nice taste of it. That was pretty fun, just to even see that. They did announce the Superstar Shakeup, and I guess that would lead us into maybe our, slight little mock draft.
Fair. So, I believe when we discussed this, I'd be Monday Night Raw, you'd be SmackDown?
Sure.
Is that what we said?
Yeah.
Alright, so if I'm Monday Night Raw, the first person I think that's going to move to Monday Night Raw is Daniel Bryan. You have The Miz on Raw. He's a major attraction. Although I think SmackDown is more the brand for him, I see them bringing him to Raw.
Well, it's too bad because it's going the opposite way. The Miz is going back to SmackDown, clearly.
Oh, so they're going to be ships passing the night?
SmackDown is the place for Daniel Bryan. The Raw is way too crowded. There's no need for him there. SmackDown is the place for him. AJ, all those guys there. So you bring the Miz back to SmackDown and let them do something, or you keep them separate and you do something else. But in my mind, Bryan and Miz are both on SmackDown.
All right. Well, then, so Miz is your pick.
So yeah, our first picks will just kind of cancel each other out.
So luck of the draw. I'll go then with Becky Lynch. I think that she needs a reboot. I think getting her on Raw would be a smart move. Just kind of change things up. Even her outfit's been a little bit different, so quote unquote the Raw audience hasn't really seen her the way she's been lately. I think it'll provide her with different feuds that she can have. She's not going to be anywhere near title picture on SmackDown for quite a while after Mella just won. So yeah, I think Becky Lynch moving to Raw is good for both the brand and for her.
Sure, and in that same vein, slightly, I will just take Asuka from Raw, and I will probably have her take the belt off Carmella at some point. But I think if you wanted, the stuff with Charlotte is there, but I don't know, because you already took Becky Lynch. I don't know if you plan on doing it, but I would draft Charlotte to Raw. I think her dropping the title, I think her just being Charlotte Flair, being on Raw is where that name belongs, and Ronda Rousey is there. So you can spend as much time as you want building to that for next year.
All right, I think that my next pick is a little bit of a cheat, but I'm going to go with New Day.
Okay.
I think that you need to get them away from the Usos for a little bit. I think you can easily make the Usos they're basically kind of like almost like a face team in that people root for them so much. They can, feud with the Bludgeon Brothers, but I don't think you're going to see, do you really want to have New Day going to beat the Bludgeon Brothers or the titles? It's just they need something fresh, just like Becky Lynch.
That's fine, and I'll just take Cesaro and Sheamus because I think then that makes perfect sense for those two teams who, kind of have done everything that they needed to do on their shows to swap.
All right, and I'm trying to think of there aren't any. Help me out. There aren't any cruiserweights on SmackDown, right? I think I made a mistake.
No, and I'm wondering. I still don't think they have the time to do it. But I was just curious if they did something like, they draft Cedric Alexander to SmackDown, and then, they just have cruiserweight matches there. But the extra hour of Raw is pretty convenient for that.
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen. All right, so I'm going to have to change up my pick in that case. I'm going to end up going with... This is weird. Rusev. I think that the Rusev Day stuff is a little bit more... I think it's better for Raw. I always look at it as Raw is the story heavy show more, and SmackDown is the wrestling show. And Rusev is a great wrestler, but Rusev Day is such a huge thing, and I think that moving him to Raw will freshen him up. He can start picking up some more victories. I mean, and then he's gonna die in Saudi Arabia.
Not true. And I will tell you why after my next pick, but I think I'm going to take Finn. And maybe later on in a supplemental draft, I grab Gallows and Anderson, because clearly they're just dead on Raw. But I would bring Finn over to the Blue Brand, and him, Brian, AJ, Shinsuke, that would be a lot of fun. But they changed that match, and it is now Chris Jericho against The Undertaker in a casket match.
What did you just say? Chris Jericho versus The Undertaker in a casket match in Saudi Arabia?
Correct. At the greatest Royal Rumble.
This is not good. This is not good radio, but I'm speechless right now. All right, that's unbelievable. Okay, and that makes it easier to see who's going to win. If it hadn't already been decided now, I feel like it's definitely decided.
Right. I wonder if they were just like... this could have gone one of two ways. Either the booking was like, hey, we kind of like Rusev. Why would we literally bury him on the WWE Network? That wouldn't help. Or it was Chris Jericho saying like, "Yo, let me wrestle The Undertaker. You got a couple matches left. Come on, let me do it." And then just saying, "Okay."
My God, I'm surprised Vince didn't just reply THX.
THX.
All right, so we're down to our last picks. I'm gonna try to make this one count. All right, here goes a wasted pick on Dolph Ziggler.
I was gonna request that you took him because he's just has nothing on SmackDown. And I'm just gonna take Dean Ambrose. Maybe he's returning soon, and I don't know. Why not just put him on SmackDown?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that involved in all of this, aside from our picks, we're getting. I think almost gets called up. I mean, I think it's happening.
Well, yeah, almost. I wonder if he actually gets drafted because he's such a good talent at this point. But then I don't know what that would mean for the other.
They can't really do that because imagine NXT just got Could you imagine NXT just gets Randy Orton?
Well, and that's the thing. I'm really still annoyed and confused by we have a superstar shakeup next week, but here is a superstar shakeup this week. Raw got 8 people, SmackDown got 1 act. Yes, it was meaningful, and that Carmella, after the Iconic Duo beat down Charlotte, was able to cash in and become the champion. But that was a little lopsided. Now you got to figure they're going to get more draft picks, and that's going to be more lopsided. And I don't know what that means for SmackDown. So, hopefully we're wrong here, and they get a lot of good names in this draft and don't lose too much. But you never know how this goes. But, why not just say, free agency begins this week, and, GMs can negotiate with some NXT talents and blah, blah, blah. Just say that. Because then next week, if you just have the Raw and SmackDown guys going back and forth, that's perfectly fine. But I don't understand. Usually the NXT guys are part of the draft, and it's a cool pick when they get picked. But I don't know. I guess that's not going to be the way it goes this time, and I'm just confused by it all.
God damn it, pal. It's a shakeup. It's not a draft.
Well, that's what they call them all, so what can you do?
I really do. Well, I'd really like to see them, though, send guys to NXT. I would like to see NXT just pick up people.
Kurt Hawkins.
But could you imagine Orton's face if he gets drafted to NXT?
Well, that clearly wouldn't happen.
And then he would just be a monster down there. He's actually bigger than Killian Dane. All right, well
yeah, so it was a fun weekend. Everything was enjoyable. Raw and SmackDown were solid shows. They didn't really disappoint. So, it was amazing week being off and being able to watch all these shows. I don't know how people do this having jobs.
No.
So, yeah, congrats to you, and thank God we didn't get the measles at WrestleMania.
Good thing. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week. Make sure you guys send us some emails over at runningwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at runningwildlwos. You can also follow us on Facebook at Running Wild on Wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at rich_LACONI. And you can follow my Ring of Honor coverage over at ROHworld.com and PWPonderings.com, as well as Last Word on ProWrestling.com. With that out of the way, just want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, and please go leave us a review on iTunes. Those are really awesome. We've been getting a couple that I hadn't seen. They slipped through the cracks. I want to thank you guys for the feedback and for listening. And until next week, it's just to remind you that you're listening to the podcast that is just too sweet.
For Rich and Runz, this is the host of Ring of Honor Wrestling, Ian Riccaboni, signing off. Be sure to join them next week for another episode of the Running Wild Podcast.